Well, welcome to another episode of Student Success HQ. Today we're going to talk about note-taking. Again, many of you would think that this is not a stimulating conversation to have. However, this skill in itself has a huge impact in terms of your ability to succeed in your studies. Well, why take notes? Note-taking is one of those topics that students simply do not like to deal with. However, it plays an important role in learning. The process of taking notes forces you to listen and process what is most important. It is what I would call an on-task activity. The personal notes you make are much easier to remember than content from handouts or from the internet. Note-taking engages more parts of the brain. It engages you visually. It engages your auditory sense in terms of active listening. And it also engages you kinesthetically because your hand is moving or your fingers are typing. If we take a look here at the Wordle that's on the left, you see the large word notes. But notes allow you to connect. They help you study. They help you think critically. They're important, and they also help you retrieve information. While taking notes, here's a few of the things that you should focus on. Teachers provide all kinds of clues during class that can provide emphasis as to what is most important to write down. So the teacher might write material on the board. Generally, that's important. Or they may repeat themselves frequently, both verbal and written. Emphasis, the tone of the voice, and the amount of time spent on a topic is another clue as to what is important. Word clues, such as, there's 2 points of view, or the third reason, or in conclusion. Summaries at the end of the class are important pieces in terms of highlighting the most important part of that period. And review of previous material at the beginning of the class kind of picks you up from where you were yesterday and where you're actually going today. You can develop your own system of note-taking. There are some great systems that can be learned, but you can also develop your own. What is important is that you train yourself to become consistent from one class to the next. That consistency piece makes note-taking that much easier. So making notes brief is important. Use a phrase instead of a sentence. Use a word instead of a phrase. Always put notes in your own words, with the exception of a formula or definitions. Once you've written down the definition, though, it is important for you to put it in your own words, or with a drawing if possible. And then if you're given specific facts or quotations, develop an outline format or a numbering system. I like to use bullets, and then I'll have the main word, and then under that main word I'll have the other bullets associated with the main word. If you miss something, that's okay. Just leave a blank space so you can get it later from a friend. And then it's also important to date and number each page. This is a great habit and helps your brain sort material. Or if your binder gets dumped in the hallway, maybe not maliciously, but just out of fun, it's much easier to put your notes back in a chronological order. So here's one system that is used at university and taught at university. It's called the Cornell system for notes. This is an outline of the Cornell note-taking method. This YouTube video will provide more details. So if you just copy and paste this link, you can actually see it in action. Well, there's 5 R's of note-taking. There's recording. In the right column, record meaningful facts and ideas. So if we were to take a look at this where it says note-taking area, that's where you would record. In the left column, this clarifies meaning and improves memory. So this column here, you would just use key words in association to the notes that you had taken here. For review purposes, it allows you to get right back to where you need to be quickly. Well, recite. Cover the right column, that's this one here, and that's when you're reviewing or studying, and then recite concepts only using the left column in terms of the clues or single words. Reflect. Distill your own ideas from your notes. This can happen down here in the summary area where you kind of summarize the entire class that day. And then, of course, use this to review your class. Spend 10 minutes once a week and review your notes. That repetition of data becomes very important in terms of transferring items from short-term memory into long-term memory. Many students like to be passive in their learning, and note-taking or not taking notes can be very detrimental to the learning process. You will learn more if you take notes because it keeps you focused and engaged. We go back to that active listening phase. But here's the neat part. It does take time. It takes energy to take notes. But even if you never review your notes, you will learn and recall more than not taking any notes at all. Simply hearing and not active listening. Note-taking keeps you in that active listening domain. If you don't take notes, you hear, and then you can't recall anything. Well, that's it for this next topic on note-taking. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Please visit us at studentsuccesshq.com. There is so much more.